June 5, 2021. A date forever etched in the collective memory of marine animal enthusiasts, and forever haunting the halls of Ocean World Marine Park. The 300th live performance was meant to be a landmark celebration, but in a horrific twist of fate, it became a horrifying tragedy. But to understand the full weight of that day, we need to rewind. We need to understand who Emily Cadeaux was and what drove her into the path of a 6-ton killer whale. Emily wasn't just a trainer. She was a woman utterly captivated by the ocean and its inhabitants from a young age. Born and raised in Sarasota, Florida, she practically grew up in the shadow of Ocean World, while other kids were obsessed with amusement parks or video games. Emily was drawn to the mystery and power of the sea. Her bedroom wasn't adorned with posters of pop stars, but with vibrant images of orcas breaching, dolphins leaping, and coral reefs teeming with life. This wasn't a fleeting childhood fancy. It was a deep-seated passion that shaped her entire life. At the tender age of 19, while most of her peers were navigating college or starting down aimless paths, Emily secured a coveted internship at Ocean World Marine Park. For her, it wasn't just a summer job, it was a dream come true. A stepping stone into the world she had longed to be a part of since was a little girl. Her dedication and natural talent were immediately apparent. She wasn't just going through the motions. She was immersing herself in every aspect of marine animal care, from cleaning habitats to assisting with feeding. Her genuine love for the animals shone through, and she quickly gained the respect of her colleagues and superiors. Emily's rise through the ranks was nothing short of meteoric. By 21, she had secured a full-time position as a trainer, a testament to her hard work and unwavering commitment. And just 2 years later, at the age of 23, she achieved what many trainers spend a lifetime striving for: a promotion to senior orca handler. This was a title rarely bestowed upon someone so young, and it came with immense responsibility. Orcas, despite their intelligence and trainability, are apex predators. They possess incredible strength and complex social structures. Working with them requires a unique blend of expertise, patience, and unwavering respect. But Emily wasn't just any trainer. She possessed a rare gift, an uncanny ability to connect with these powerful creatures. Other staff members often turned to her when tensions rose within the animal habitats. There was a calmness about her, a quiet confidence that seemed to resonate even with the most unpredictable orcas. She had an innate understanding of their behavior, a sense of what they needed, and a way of communicating that transcended simple commands. And that's where Vespa comes in. Vespa was a bull orca, one of the largest and most powerful animals ever kept at Ocean World, a 6-ton behemoth. He had a reputation for being temperamental, difficult, but Emily saw something else in him. She was the one who formed a bond with Vespa, a connection that seemed to defy explanation. Fellow trainers would later recall how Vespa would often ignore everyone else, only to perk up when Emily walked into the training area. He would surface as if he had been waiting just for her. It was a relationship built on trust, or at least that's what everyone thought. Emily believed in her work. She believed in the possibility of harmony between humans and these magnificent predators. She poured her heart and soul into building a relationship with Vespa, believing that through patience and understanding, she could help him thrive in captivity. She dedicated countless hours to learning his individual quirks, understanding his moods, and earning his trust. She spent extra time reinforcing positive behaviors and addressing any signs of stress or aggression. To the public, Their performances were a breathtaking display of skill and coordination. But behind the scenes, it was a testament to Emily's unwavering dedication and her genuine affection for Vesper. However, it's said that you can teach a lion tricks, but never forget it still remembers the hunt. And Vesper ... he never forgot. He was a creature born in captivity, yes, but a creature still bound by instinct. For years, Ocean World had presented an image of pristine harmony, a place where humans and animals lived side by side in a mutually beneficial relationship. But behind the brightly colored facades and choreographed performances, a different reality was brewing. A reality where the immense power of a captive apex predator was slowly beginning to boil over. Emily's dream was a noble one, but perhaps a naive one. She believed that she could bridge the gap between human understanding and animal instinct. But as the old saying goes, you can chain an animal, but you can't chain its spirit. And Vesper's spirit was beginning to rebel. The inherent dangers of working with captive predators were always present, lurking beneath the surface like a dark current. But in the relentless pursuit of profit and entertainment, these dangers were often overlooked, minimized, or even ignored. And in the case of Emily, Cadeaux, and Vesper, that ignorance would have devastating consequences. Ocean World Marine Park had always presented a pristine image to the public, a haven where humans and marine life coexisted in harmony. But behind the shimmering facade, a different story was unfolding. A story of declining standards, ignored warnings, and a growing tension that threatened to erupt at any moment. The once thriving Orca program was showing significant cracks. Budget cuts, a revolving door of trainers, and a relentless pressure to maximize profits had created a toxic environment where animal welfare took a backseat to revenue. The elaborate shows, once a source of pride, were becoming increasingly risky as the Orcas grew restless and unpredictable. Internal reports, often buried or dismissed, painted a disturbing picture. The Orcas were exhibiting signs of stress, repetitive behaviors, increased aggression towards each other, and a general disinterest in training. The smaller tanks, a constant source of controversy among animal rights groups, were now clearly inadequate to meet the needs of these intelligent and powerful creatures. The park's leadership, however, seemed more concerned with appeasing shareholders than addressing the underlying problems. They doubled down on the existing formula, demanding more spectacular performances, more daring stunts, and more revenue-generating opportunities. Concerns about the Orca's well-being were met with dismissals, empty promises, and thinly veiled threats. The trainers, many of whom had dedicated their lives to these animals, felt increasingly powerless to effect change. And then there was Vesper. Vesper wasn't just another Orca. He was a force of nature, a 6-ton behemoth with a complex and often volatile personality. Born in captivity, he had never known the vastness of the open ocean, the intricate social structures of a wild pod, or the freedom to hunt and explore. His life had been one of confinement, training, and relentless performance. Vesper's early life was marred by tragedy. His mother died during transport, a traumatic event that left him orphaned and vulnerable. He never received the critical bonding and nurturing that orcas typically experience in the wild, a deficiency that some experts believed contributed to his later behavioral issues in the weeks leading up to the fatal performance. Vesper's behavior had become increasingly erratic. He was displaying a level of aggression that even seasoned trainers found alarming. He would refuse to follow commands, lash out at other orcas, and repeatedly ram the gates of his enclosure. a desperate attempt to escape his artificial world. Trainers documented these incidents, filing detailed reports that outlined Vesper's escalating agitation. They warned of the potential for a serious incident, pleading with management to take action. But their concerns were dismissed, minimized, or outright ignored. One trainer, in a particularly chilling email, wrote, "Vesper is not safe. He's exhibiting signs of extreme stress and aggression. He needs a break from performances, and we need to reevaluate his training program before someone gets seriously hurt." The response from management was dismissive. "Vesper is a valuable asset. We can't afford to sideline him. Just increase his enrichment and keep a close eye on him." Enrichment in this context meant a few extra toys, a slightly varied training routine, and perhaps a longer feeding session. It was a banded solution to a deep-seated problem, a futile attempt to mask the underlying despair and frustration that plagued Vesper's existence. Another troubling sign was Vesper's increasing isolation. He began to withdraw from his fellow Orcas, spending hours alone at the bottom of the tank, seemingly lost in his own thoughts. He would ignore the calls of his trainers, refusing to engage in the playful interactions that had once characterized their relationship. Emily Cadeaux, who had a particularly close bond with Vesper, was deeply concerned by these changes. She had dedicated years to building trust with him, and she could sense that something was profoundly wrong. She shared her fears with her colleagues, expressing her belief that Vesper was on the verge of a breakdown. "He's not himself," she confided to a fellow trainer. "He's like a tightly wound spring, ready to snap. I'm worried about him, and I'm worried about what he's capable of." But even Emily's warnings were not enough to break through the wall of denial that had enveloped Ocean World. The park's leadership, blinded by profit and driven by a relentless pursuit of spectacle, refused to acknowledge the danger that was brewing beneath the surface. The pressure to maintain the illusion of control, the relentless pursuit of profit, and the systematic disregard for animal welfare had created a perfect storm. A ticking time bomb that was about to explode in the most horrific way imaginable. The cracks in the facade were widening, the warnings were growing louder, and the stage was set for a tragedy that would forever change the way the world viewed Orca captivity. The relentless pursuit of profit and the need to control the brand was about to have a devastating outcome. June 5th. A day that began with bright sunshine and the excited squeals of children would forever be etched in history as a day of unspeakable horror. The 300th live performance, a milestone for Emily Cadeaux, a celebration for Ocean World Marine Park, and a spectacle for the 2,500 eager spectators filling the stadium. What no one knew was that they were about to witness not a performance, but a tragedy. The storm was about to break. Emily entered the water, a familiar routine, a practiced smile. She knew Vesper, or so she thought. Years of training, a bond, forged in daily interactions. Or was it? The show began, the initial moments unfolding as planned. The synchronized swims, the leaps, the carefully choreographed interactions between woman and whale. But something was different. A subtle tension hung in the air, an almost imperceptible shift in Vesper's demeanor. A ripple of unease passed through some of the veteran trainers watching from the sidelines, a feeling that something wasn't quite right. Then it happened. As the grand finale approached, a maneuver where Emily would ride on Vesper's back, the Orca broke formation. Witnesses described a sudden, violent lunge. Vesper, all 6 tons of him, turned on Emily with a speed and ferocity that defied comprehension. He seized her, not gently, not playfully, but with the full force of his immense jaws. He clamped down on her midsection, the crowd's cheers instantly turning to gasps of horror. The water erupted as Vespa began to thrash, whipping Emily around like a rag doll. Her body, so small and fragile in comparison to his immense power, was completely at his mercy. Screams pierced the air. The spectacle of marine wonder had dissolved into a scene of unimaginable terror. People scrambled back, tripping over themselves in a desperate attempt to escape the unfolding nightmare. The emergency protocols, drilled and rehearsed, were activated. Buzzers sounded, attempting to disorient Vespa. Nets were deployed, trying to create a barrier, anything to distract him. But nothing worked. Vespa's focus was absolute, his grip unrelenting. He dragged Emily beneath the surface. The water, once crystal clear, began to cloud. First a faint pink, then a spreading crimson blood. The horrifying truth dawned on the horrified onlookers. This wasn't an accident. This was an attack. A primal, ferocious attack. The frantic attempts to rescue Emily continued. Trainers plunged into the water, risking their own lives to reach her. But Vespa kept her submerged, his powerful body churning the water into a maelstrom of blood and foam. The minutes stretched into an eternity. Each agonizing second extinguished another flicker of hope. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Vespa released his grip. Emily's body floated lifelessly to the surface. The rescue team frantically pulled her from the water, their faces etched with despair. Paramedics rushed to her side, but it was too late. Emily Cadeaux was gone. The autopsy revealed the gruesome extent of the damage. Multiple blunt force traumas, consistent with the sheer force of Vespa's tail and body. Broken ribs, internal bleeding, injuries that painted a picture of unimaginable agony. But the most shocking revelation was the discovery of significant tissue loss on her legs and shoulder. Vespa hadn't just attacked, he had eaten her. Driven by an instinct honed over millions of years, suppressed by years of captivity, he had reverted to his primal nature. The aftermath was chaos. Ocean World, reeling from the catastrophe, attempted to control the narrative. A carefully worded press release was issued, downplaying the incident, calling it a tragic accident. But the truth has a way of surfacing. Whispers turned into leaks. Emails surfaced, revealing Emily's warnings about Vespa's increasingly erratic behavior. Warnings that had been ignored. Reports documenting Vespa's aggression, conveniently deleted from his file. The park's attempts to cover up their negligence only fueled the growing outrage. The public demanded answers. Animal rights groups seized the opportunity to expose the dark side of Orca captivity. The outcry grew into a roar. Protests erupted. Outside Ocean World, the once popular attraction, now a symbol of exploitation and cruelty. Petitions circulated, calling for an end to Orca performances. Millions signed their names, their voices joining the chorus of condemnation. Ocean World stock plummeted, the financial consequences of their negligence becoming painfully clear. But the park, despite the overwhelming evidence of wrongdoing, escaped significant legal repercussions. A government investigation, many believed, was a whitewash. No criminal charges were filed. Ocean World, seemingly, had gotten away with it. But the damage was done. The death of Emily Cadeaux had shattered the illusion of harmony between humans and captive orcas. It had exposed the inherent dangers of keeping these magnificent creatures confined, their spirits broken, their instincts suppressed. The storm had broken, and the landscape would never be the same. The truth couldn't be buried, the guilt couldn't be washed away. Emily Cadeaux's legacy would become a rallying cry, fueling the fight to end orca captivity and to give these magnificent animals the freedom they so desperately deserve.